Today was a very good day. I think I have an idea of what my issue might be from Saturday. I know I was talking about there was some sort of deficiency in my technique or in my personal physique that was causing the issues that I was having with the block pulls. And I'm more than certain that I was on kind of the right track when I was thinking that it might be overly strong lower back erectors compared to my my abs, the rectus abdominis. They are way strong. It's kind of evidenced by the way that the block pulls work, and I think doing them for so long has really built those up, and more so in comparison than my abs, and it's caused like a bit of pelvic tilt, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not. It's depending on how severe it is, and mine really isn't that bad. But in combination with how strong my lower back is, and my core isn't weak by any means, but my back is so much stronger that it overpowers it and tries to use that as the fundamental movement for doing deadlifts. And I mean, part of the reason why I train squats and deadlifts with my working weights without a belt is so that I can get more core activation. But I think that my back's getting so strong that I'm starting to lose that effect. And so I'm definitely going to shelve the block pulls for the time being. And today I replaced them with Romanian deadlifts just to try to get a little bit more core activation and then a different way to attack that, lower back portion, the hips with the deadlift. And I definitely did feel it in the core, and I felt it in my glutes. So that was something I wasn't getting with the block pulls anymore, just because of the weights that I was at. I was compromising my position and compensating with different muscles than what's the actual target. So I'm going to try this out for a month, maybe two, and just see where that goes. I might replace it with a different exercise, but I'm definitely kind of holding off from block pulls for a while, just because I don't think that they have a utility at the moment. I know that it is one of those exercises that is generally not recommended to do for a long time, and I think it's because of this situation where you become overly reliant on this position and it develops suboptimal habits over time, and I've definitely kind of hit that a little bit. So definitely something to kind of toy around with and see what's working and what's not. But I'm definitely going to stick with doing the Romanian deadlifts for the time being. Otherwise, dealing with squats today, these were fairly easy. I had no soreness in my back, no soreness in my legs. I didn't ride my bike today. I wasn't working, but I did do it yesterday. And it is getting easier and easier, every day that I do it. It's a little difficult coming home from work because it's pretty much all uphill. But going to work's not that bad, just because it's a little bit of uphill section, and then it's kind of little hills going, up and down, but it's predominantly downhill, so it's a lot easier ride going in than it is coming home. Don't think it'll be doing it too much this week. It's supposed to rain almost every day this week, so be a bit more driving than riding, which is unfortunate because I'm really taking a liking to it. It just feels good to do, especially right now since my allergies aren't affecting me. Going into bench, it was a very, very productive bench session. One thing that I did change up today, I decided to push out the distance between my squat stands just to get a feeling, or to get better support on the bar when I'm loading and unloading the weight. And I think it helped a little bit, kind of made things a little bit easier in terms of not having to worry as much about the bar tipping, just because it changes how the mass is distributed whenever I'm loading and unloading. And it did give me a little more room. I felt less confined when squatting and when benching today, though the only problem is it threw off my frame of reference for where my bench should land in terms of where I should be. And you can see that I'm clipping the safety rails, little safety arms on the spotter arms on the squat rack while I'm trying to bench, because it's so far out that I can't visually see it in my peripherals anymore. And it was difficult to kind of set the bench in a good position for it. So I was constantly adjusting after every set, trying to find the right spot for it. We're trying to make sure the squat stands were lined up. But besides that, the 160 was moving very, very easily. And I'm very happy with this progression. that I'm not having as much difficulty with it as I had even 6 weeks ago, which wasn't that much for this when it was a maximal weight. So I'm definitely getting stronger on bench, and I think it's just one of those things that you have to hit consistently and hit those higher weights a little bit more consistently, just to be able to get any sort of like progression out of it. I feel like that my squat and my deadlift hold their strength better over time with me not doing them. Whereas if I stop doing bench or I stop doing overhead press, they just wither away almost immediately. So something that definitely needs a lot more attention. That was an instance where I really clipped the squat, the safety arms, and it was just frustrating me all session today. So I might go down and just like tape off the positions where I need to have everything whenever I'm doing my sets, just because it was a little frustrating going through and constantly hitting those. So I don't know, just a little annoyance, and it was really the only negative during the bench session today. Everything else just kind of felt really good. I had good shoulder tension, had my shoulder blades together, pulled in and down, my body. I had good leg drive. Everything just felt good. So I have not much to complain about. 165 on Saturday this week shouldn't be much of an issue, and I'm looking forward to hitting it. Going into the next set right after this is going to be the first set of Romanian deadlifts. Now, if you haven't seen these, how they work is that typically, there's two different ways you can do them. You can do them in a deadlift position like this, where you just pick the weight up, and then from here, you extend your hips without bending your knees. So it's all about creating that hip drive and working on your glutes and your core to help stabilize that weight and keep it balanced. So you really can't see it because the weight on the left is in the way, but when I'm getting down lower as I'm doing these and getting used to the stretch of it again, the knees shouldn't be bending so much as the hips are pulling out, and you're using the hamstrings and the glutes in your core to help stabilize this, to just kind of get that out. So it's a very good exercise for what I'm looking to do, get a little bit more core strength and work on the glutes and the hamstrings to help with deadlifts. And it's a good way to simulate the top of a deadlift position, because it is working the lockout effectively. It's just not overloading it like I was doing with the block pulls. So I did these at 250 just to kind of get a feel, think of what would be a good weight for it. The other way you can do these is using like a landmine press or a T-bar row setup, which I do have one and I was considering using, but I don't have my handle at the moment. So you can either do it with the bar itself, which I really don't like, or you can use like a little V row handle for a cable attachment, and you put the barbell in the middle of that handle, and you do the same motion where you have the barbell in that little lever for the T-bar rows and the landmines, and you put all the weight on one end of the barbell, and you do your Romanian deadlifts that way. I prefer to do it with the barbell right now, just because I didn't want to put, and I was just thinking putting 250 pounds basically on one end of the barbell and doing a T-bar row would be very loud, and it's a lot of weight to hold in one spot. And I just felt that at the moment I would get better utility doing it this way. I could have done it again with your hand, just kind of cup them in there and just really grip into it. But I figured that you doing this way too would be a good way to work on my grip, and just kind of work it that way. But you can see that my as I'm doing these and getting used to them again, I haven't done these in like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, to just kind of, my positioning is getting better, and I'm feeling out the position of this. I think this is going to be a good exercise going forward to do for a month or two and just kind of really stretch things out. And I was focusing on starting my deadlifts lower and lower, and I did get a couple of them that I really liked my position when I was coming and setting up for this. And again, you can see, so my hips are pulling out and my knees aren't the main focal point for the bend on this. They're getting a little bit, but it's mostly just because of the hips pulling out. I'm not bending at the knees specifically. So this was a very good exercise for just kind of helping move things forward and get a little more benefit of exercise in the glutes, as well as still focusing on the hamstrings, and then adding a little bit of core work because I have to do more stabilization with pulling the weight off the ground and maintaining the position with it in the air, rather than getting it down to the ground, picking it back up and going again, or off of blocks. So there's quite a bit more use of the stabilizers, and especially the core, to help aid those in stabilizing the weight, and I think it's going to be a winner at the moment. I may add some other supplementary things on my off days to just kind of help work the core. But for now, I'm just going to kind of go with this and get used to this load and then maybe add more work later on. So see what happens, and hopefully it works.